Breaking news headlines. Reuters reporting that North Korean state media says the rogue nation is seriously considering a strategy to strike Guam with mid to long-range missiles. Joining me now, Herb London, the president of the London Center for Policy Research, J.D. Gordon, a former Pentagon spokesman and a former commander in the U.S. Navy, and back with us, Bruce Klingner. Bruce, I'm going to start with you and give you a few more headlines we're getting in just moments ago. North Korea says it's seriously considering strategy to strike Guam with mid to long-range missiles. North Korea says strike on Guam will be carried out in a consecutive, successive way once leader Kim Jong-un gives the order. I want to know your reaction to that.
It's very surprising and very scary. The situation on the peninsula is getting dicey even by Korean Peninsula standards. We know that they have two intermediate-range ballistic missiles, the Musudan and the Hwasong-12, that are in development that can range Guam. When I met with North Korean officials earlier this year in Europe, they told me that both of those missiles would be deployed to military units soon.
So we know this is, this is property of the U.S. of A. Okay, this is territory of the U.S. And there happens to be an American base there. We're trying to figure out right now just how many Americans might be there. This is a critical headline. Just to repeat again, North Korea saying publicly now it is seriously considering strategy to strike Guam with mid to long range missiles. And J.D. Gordon, your reaction here.
Well, I think it's very alarming. I think we have to pressure North Korea to stop this rhetoric and to stop their missile and nuclear programs. You know, Bill Clinton, George Bush, Barack Obama all tried with economic pressure, with diplomatic pressure. It has not got the job done. So we have to pressure China to put more pressure on North Korea. They're not doing enough. I think the sanctions are very important. North Korea is going to lose about $1 billion a year, provided those sanctions are enforced. But it's time to perhaps start sanctioning Chinese banks who are dealing with North Korea, and perhaps even look at an oil embargo.
I'm going to tell you, we've been doing a lot of this. It doesn't seem to be getting us anywhere. And just to fill out the reporting we're giving you here, as I understand it, there's some 12,000 U.S. military folks in Guam who could be in harm's way here. And again, North Korea is saying a strike on Guam will be carried out in a consecutive, successive way once leader Kim Jong-un gives an order. Herb, what do you say to this? And has what we've done to date clearly has not ratcheted down the tensions? People are saying that we need to change their tone. Let me tell you, the tone the president gave us this afternoon was pretty combative.
It's not a question of the tone, it's a question of the actions. By and large, what we found is that kicking the can down the road doesn't work. The Trump administration obviously recognizes the threat. This is a very real threat. In the past, we didn't believe that the North Koreans possessed the technical capability of reaching the United States. Now we know that's not true.
Right.
This most alarming development obviously represents a real threat on naval assets we have in Guam. And my feeling is that the president is obliged to act. But if you're asking me what should be done, I would say to the Japanese, you know what? You've got Article 9 in your Constitution that prohibits the development of nuclear weapons. Why don't you at least open the debate on that issue? Because let me assure you, the Chinese would be at the negotiating table in 5 minutes. They would be very serious about putting pressure on North Korea.
Bruce, do you agree with that?
No, I think if you talk to the Japanese government and all the polls and the populace, they are very reluctant to go down any kind of nuclear path.
I understand that indeed, and that's a political problem, undoubtedly. But there is no question that it would force the Chinese hand.
Let's get down to brass tacks here. So we have a real saber rattling going on here, and it seems to me fairly serious. And now North Korea is saying that in their sights is Guam, J.D. Gordon. And we know that 12,000 Americans are on a base there. That would put them in harm's way. Should we de-escalate from here? Should we walk back? I mean, the president's comments tonight, pretty incendiary. He says, fire and fury like the world has never seen if North Korea was to use this new technology they have, which is a miniaturized nuclear warhead that can fit inside its missiles. Where does this end?
Well, I've been to Guam before when I was assigned to the U.S. Pacific Fleet, and it's a major hub for our Air Force and for our Navy. The threat is very real. North Korea can reach it with missiles, and basically our past approaches have not worked. Ever since the 1990s, they haven't worked. So I think President Trump is right to take a very tough line with North Korea and let Kim Jong-un know he's not the average president. Kim Jong-un should be on notice.
should be on notice, but let me tell you, I look at what's going on here, and this is not someone you can really predict what he's going to do. He's not an unknown quantity, but certainly an unpredictable quantity.
Well, he's unpredictable. He's irrational at times, and certainly very erratic. That makes the notion of deterrence very difficult. It's when you have rational players on both sides of the equation, then you can talk seriously about deterrence. Deterrence doesn't work with someone like Kim Jong-un. The only thing that he would understand is the force of the United States. So that is one of the reasons why the Trump administration has got to act in a somewhat different way from his predecessors.
Bruce, we seem to be focused, and it's hard not to be, on where we've gone wrong in the past and what we've done with North Korea. But we got to start from where we are, right? And decide what the next actions should be. What do you think they should be? What should we do?
Well, as others have said, we do need to increase the pressure on North Korea. The perception that North Korea is the most heavily sanctioned, the most cut-off nation on earth is flat out wrong. We haven't been doing things to North Korea that we've done to Iran. Last year was the first year we sanctioned as many North Korean entities as we had been sanctioning those of Zimbabwe. So we do need to stop pulling our punches on enforcing U.S. law and go after the Chinese violators of U.S. law. We can do that with existing authorities. The Trump administration criticizes China for not doing enough, which is correct, but they are not using the authorities they have to go after the Chinese banks and businesses that are facilitating North Korean behavior. I'm
sorry. I'm just getting news of headlines in my ear here that I want to share with you. North Korea is urging the U.S. not to regret today in the future, and the operational plan to be soon reported to the Supreme Command. So they are in process of deciding what to do. Look, I don't want to, send people over the edge here with this reporting, but it is concerning, it is worrisome, and the idea that North Korea is now seriously considering a strategy to strike Guam, and they're saying that, J.D., to me, I feel like, where do we go from here? What are next steps? And what do we do to protect Americans in Guam and elsewhere?
Well, first of all, missile defense. We have to keep investing in missile defense, both at sea and on land. And so I think we're doing that, but we need to continue investment in missile defense technology. And I also think that we just have to keep pressuring China, because China is not doing enough. About 90% of North Korea's trade volume is with China, and it's a traditionally leaky border between China and North Korea, even when there are sanctions.
Exactly.
So China's the key.